Guys, welcome back.
Welcome back. We're here after our little hiatus. Gonna jump right back into this. We're gonna start it off with top five edge players slash defensive ends for the AFC and NFC. Why don't you start us off with the AFC?
All right, number five. I'm coming in hot like I always do. He has not played in the AFC before, but he is going to be playing in the AFC this season. His name is Jared Verse. He was traded when the Rams went and got Myles Garrett. This will be his third year, I think, in the league. Spent his first two seasons in LA, and he's just continued to rise and just get better. And he's somebody that is powerful, ferocious, strong, and he's a young player that you can really build your team around. So Jared Verse, he had 7.5 sacks last season. Now you're thinking 7.5 sacks, that's nothing to go crazy about. He is an up and coming player. He's got a lot of expectations, and I think he will reach those high expectations. He's got a high ceiling, and he also has a high floor for who he is. He had 14 tackles for loss, three forced fumbles, and what stood out to me was he had two blocked kicks. They were important games. Of course, every game is important, but they were at a crucial time in the game when they were trying to steal the momentum back or hold the lead, and he got those two blocked kicks, and that just changed the trajectory of the game for the Rams. So he's a disruptor, man. He's think 25. He's coming in his third year, going to be playing for the Browns. Yeah, that sucks because you're playing for the Browns. There was videos of him looking depressed when he arrived in Cleveland, so hopefully they don't ruin all his good years like they did Myles Garrett. But we'll see how that goes. But number five, Jared Verse.
Yeah, I like the pick. Obviously, has really big shoes to fill over there in Cleveland, but it makes sense as far as the pick goes. He's one of the young, promising players in the NFL right now. He's definitely someone you can see with his potential, talent, and body makeup. You could see him being in the future one of the top three pass rushers in the league at one point. So I agree with that one for sure.
Coming in at number four, TJ Watt. No surprise here. He had less sacks than Verse, but he missed 3 or 4 games this past season. He had 7 sacks, 10 tackles for loss. He had 3 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions. He had 2 fumble recoveries. So of the 3 forced fumbles that he did, he got 2 of them back. And you say TJ Watt, the Watt brothers are no surprise here. They're going to go down in history as some of the greatest defensive players in our generation. And TJ Watt has been dealing with injuries the past few years. So if he can have one full season healthy, ready to go for that Steelers defense, their identity is built around the steel curtain physicality, and he's every bit of that and represents every bit of that for that city. So I'm very excited to see what TJ can do this upcoming season.
Yeah, TJ is definitely a player that's really grown on me. He's an amazing player when he's healthy, like you said. It does concern you seeing, like, obviously JJ had an amazing career, but you do kind of feel like it was wasted. I know he won the MVPs and everything, but it's like with a player who has that amount of potential and ability, you'd like to see them win the ultimate prize, which is the Super Bowl. And you saw JJ just towards the end of his career still being with the Texans, then the injuries happen, and then he goes to the Cardinals and that whole situation. And you really don't want to see that for TJ. Do I want to see the Steelers go and win a Super Bowl? Hell no. But I would like to see TJ get healthy, move around, and go play for a contender where he can really have a shot at winning something great. So, do I think that's going to happen? No, I think he's probably going to be a Steeler. And I don't know how sure I am that he's going to really get back to his healthy and playing ways like he was in his the first half of his career. But again, only time will tell. All in all, when he's healthy, he's still an amazing player. It's just whenever I think of him, I would really like to see him in a better situation. Almost similar to Demarcus Lawrence. You saw him with the Cowboys. He's the best defensive end with the Cowboys his whole time there until Michael Parsons showed up. And then they just couldn't get things together, and then you see him go to the Seattle Seahawks and be a really instrumental player in winning the Super Bowl over there. So you'd like to see something like that with TJ, but all in all, great player.
I know the perfect spot where he can come.
What are you thinking?
H-Town. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure anyone would take him at this point. I know y'all are already courting Terry and Arnold, so y'all are just getting greedy at this point. Yeah, you can get out of here with that.
Hey, I'm thinking I got a forward mind. Not this season, next season. We've got some looming contracts coming in, and with players they're getting old, and he would fit right in. He'd fit like a glove, playing for the franchise that his brother became a legend in, won all those MVPs in. That's all she wrote.
Yeah, it'd definitely be crazy to see, that's for sure.
And we win a Super Bowl. Oh man, that would be amazing. All right, coming in at number 3, we have Daniil Hunter, one of my guys, one of the faces of our franchise. He is just a behemoth of a man. He is a freak athlete. You look at the guy, and he's so freaking huge. And then he comes and talks to you, and he's like a gentle giant. Daniil Hunter, he had 15 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. He had 1 fumble recovery, and he had 15 tackles for loss. So he is just a disruptor. He's getting in the opposing quarterback's head, and him and his teammate, man, Will Anderson Jr., those two guys together, if I'm a defensive minded head coach like D'Amico Ryans, or I'm a defensive coordinator and I have those two guys up front for my defense, the confidence that I'm going to have in play calling and trusting on my back end is we see it. We see it with the Texans right now. When you have somebody of his caliber, Daniil Hunter, goodness gracious, bro, he's just so good, and he's getting old and he's getting to the end of his career. So you're wondering how much more he's got in the gas. Last year he had 15 sacks. He had 3 in the playoffs. So 18 total sacks last year. That's not bad. It kind of gets overshadowed with Myles Garrett when he broke the season record for sacks, but hey, 18 sacks is still pretty good for his age and where he's at.
Yeah, no, for sure. Anytime you hit 15 sacks, it's an amazing year for an edge player, and he's just been good for a really long time. He definitely embodies the whole characteristics of the defense that he plays with. So he's a really great player. Number 3, I think, is right where he belongs for sure.
My list ain't too bad today. My list ain't too bad. Coming in at number 2, nobody else but Mad Max in this position. Max Crosby is the second ranked edge in the AFC. He had 10 sacks last year. That's nothing to go crazy about, but he is playing with the Raiders, so you got to give him a little bit of slack there. 28 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles. He had 1 interception. And as I was going through this list of making the top 5 edges in the AFC, I don't know if you noticed this, but what separated the good edges from the great edges in this league were the amount of tackles for loss that they get. It just skyrockets. Like Hunter had 15. He's an amazing defensive end. But then you get into Max Crosby level and he had 28 tackles for loss. Crosby, he's everything that you can imagine and hope for a franchise player. He got traded away. The other team didn't want him. He's back. And instead of whining about it and saying, woe is me, what does he do? He goes in, working, keeps grinding, and stays the face of the Raiders franchise. And he's ready to work. I'm ready to see what he can do. I'm so excited to see how well he plays with the chip on his shoulder, because we all know he's already that type of player. But this just gave him a little bit more juice.
Yeah, Max definitely, top 3, not just in the AFC, but the whole NFL and what he does. You watch a game with him in it, and he's just flying all over the field. Wherever the ball is, that's where he is. So he's an outstanding player, and definitely would have loved to see him in Baltimore. But like you said, he's there with the Raiders, and he's going to continue to do what he does.
Number 1, Will Anderson Jr., 4th-year guy out of Alabama, best player on the Texans team. That's saying a lot because we are loaded and stacked with all-star players. But this guy, there's just something that is so infectious with Anderson. He's such a likable guy. He's one of the faces of the franchise. He wears that franchise in Houston on his back. He's a godly man of faith. He's so energetic and full of life, so happy. But when he's on that field, it's chaos. He wreaks havoc. He had 12 sacks, 20 tackles for loss, 3 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries. One of those fumble recoveries was for a touchdown. Man, what else can you say about Will Anderson Jr.? I'm saying, here's a hot take. He is going to be the top defensive edge player in the NFL this season. He is going to dethrone Myles Garrett.
Wow, you had me there till the very end. He's a really great player. He's definitely leading the charge there for that defense, and he's definitely helped change the culture over there. He has the potential to be really good for a really long time. He's still a young player, right? So I don't think that's crazy to say, hey, he's going to surpass Myles Garrett over the span of his career and what he's able to do. But Myles Garrett going into this year with a new team, right after breaking the sack record, I don't know if Will Anderson's ready to be at that caliber yet as far as being regarded that great across the league, but he's definitely making very big strides towards achieving that. So I'm right there with you. He deserves to be at the top of this list. He's electric, and he just brings a different attitude and charisma to the field when he steps on it. So that's a great list for sure.
If Miles Garrett, like for Super Bowl winners, the next year they have like a Super Bowl hangover. Miles Garrett is at an all-time high right now. He just broke the sack record. Keeping his money, going to LA to actually compete for a Super Bowl and join a Super Bowl favorite team. There's got to be, yeah, he's still hungry. He's Miles Garrett. He's still got that drive. But there's got to be at least, he's not going to produce at the level he did last year. He'll get close, but there's no way.
Yeah, I don't think he's
Or do
going to
you
break a
think
sack
he'll
record.
meet it again?
I don't think he's going to break the sack record again or meet that total again, but I do think him being on a team for the first time in his career, which is not a short career, for the first time he's able to compete for a Super Bowl with the quarterback who is aging and a team that is ready to win now. And I think at this point in his career, he's a smart guy. He's got to realize that, hey, these times are far and few in between where you really truly have a chance at achieving this thing. I think he recognizes where he is now, just like he recognized where he was in Cleveland. And so, yeah, I think it's going to put a little fire under him. I don't think maybe he's going to reach that total sack number that he reached last year, but he is going to be just a beast when he steps on there. And then you get into the weeds and talking about, hey, is he going to have Aaron Donald on that line too? And if that's the case, it's going to go crazy over there in LA.
X City.
All right, let's go into the NFC. I'll go ahead and start with number 5. I'm going to get some bad reactions off of this one, but it is what it is. Ultimately, the best ability is availability. I think we all know that. So number 5 coming up on this list is Nick Bosa, San Francisco 49ers. The next honorable mention I was going to say was DeMarcus Lawrence, just because what his team was able to accomplish with the Seattle Seahawks winning the Super Bowl. But ultimately, I'm just going to give it to Nick Bosa because when he's healthy, I think he's all in all going to be a better player for any team. But when you look at the totals and stats for just the last 2 years, him versus this next person I'm going to list at number 4, it just makes zero sense to put Nick Bosa over this number 4 that I'm going to list here. But I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Nick Bosa, it's hard not to put him in the top 5, even though, like you said, he's always hurt. And the best ability is availability. When is he ever on the field? If I don't remember the last time he played a full season. That sucks because he's always been injured. But when he's available and when he's healthy, he does wonders for that San Francisco defense. And they really, really missed him last year. So, yeah, I love Bosa at number 5.
Next coming in at number 4, the New York Giants, Brian Burns. This is what we were talking about just now. Over the last 2 seasons, he's played 34 games. Nick Bosa has played in 17. Sacks in the last 2 seasons. Brian Burns has 25. Bosa has 11. He has more forced fumbles, 81 to 42 in the combined tackles. So Brian Burns he's where the ball is. He's an active player. He's flashy, and he's just a producer. Ultimately, he was in Carolina, and he's doing the same here with New York. So that's where he is for me. I got him at number 4.
I'm at number 4 also. Again, he's a giant and he's a disruptor. He's been on the field every single game the past 2 seasons, and he has produced at a high level. So we said earlier with Nick Bosa, the best ability is being available, and when you're playing really, really good as well, you're going to be rewarded for that.
Yep. Next on my list is Aiden Hutchinson. I know he had some injuries, 2 years ago, snapping his leg, but he came back. Really not missing a beat. When you look at the last 2 season comparison, him and Burns, Aiden Hutchinson over the last 2 seasons, 22, and Burns is 25. And that's with Hutchinson missing some time, right? So I think we can agree when Hutchinson is on the field and he's healthy, he's definitely a better player. We saw that from him in college, and he just hasn't stopped. So the kid's a beast. I think he's going to be really good for a long time in this league. He's still very young, and that's why I have him number 3.
And the coach he plays for is just the perfect fit for him. Campbell, there's not a coach that would be better for him with his mindset and his mentality and his culture and who he is as a person. Makes you want to go through a brick wall. That's the perfect coach for Aiden Hutchinson because he's a young guy. Then he's got so much potential. We've seen his potential, but his ceiling is he has the potential to be one of the best, if not the best, edge rusher in the league for the next 7 years. So if he can stay healthy and in his year 2 back from injury, make that big leap and continue with the momentum that he had before he got hurt, hey, let's watch out for Hutchinson in Detroit.
Next, coming in at the number 2, these last ones are going to be pretty self-evident, but I got to go with Micah Parsons. It's tough with the injury he suffered last year, but ultimately he's proven that any other year he steps on the field, he's going to get at least 13 sacks. If you're a team that's extremely valuable, that's what's going to keep me having him at number 2. If he comes back healthy next season, he's going to get 13 sacks. It's a guarantee at this point in his career, so that's who I have at number 2.
We get into this top echelon of players, specifically edge players right now. Top 2 for the AFC and the top 2 for the NFC. You look at those players, they're the face of the franchise, or when you look at them and you think their team, you know what I mean? They're like beyond them as a player. They are who their team is, like that team, that culture, that city, that fan base. They're everything that that organization represents and what their history has displayed over the years. So when Micah Parsons got hurt last year, what happened to the Packers? They kind of just fell apart and fell flat. That defense didn't look the same. That's going to do the same thing for the offense. It just fed off of the whole team when they didn't have Micah Parsons, and the stats showed that, the game showed that, the scores showed that, everything showed that without Micah Parsons, the Packers weren't going nowhere and they weren't going to do anything.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, it just shows his impact no matter what team he's on. He's a very integral piece and important piece for winning. So that's why he's at number 2 for me. Number 1, we got to go with the best pass rusher in the league, arguably one of the best of all time. Myles Garrett holds the sack record. He's just a beast. This is without Aaron Donald being there. This is just on pure who this guy is. There's no doubt he's the best pass rusher in the league. You say maybe Will Anderson's going to be nipping at his heels this next year. I'd love to see it. It's just insane, the production and consistency that we get from Myles Garrett. He's healthy. He's huge. And he's just going to get the job done each and every week. So Myles Garrett, that's who I've got best across the league for me right now.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. He's number 1 in the whole NFL right now at edge rusher. He's probably the best defensive player in the league also. Well, I'm going to say he is the best defensive player in the league right now. There's nobody that's going to surpass him right now. We'll see how that goes. I'm on the Will Anderson Jr. train, and we got some studs in that defense for the Houston Texans, but this is Myles Garrett's section, and he deserves every bit of it. Broke the sack record. The impact that he had on Cleveland fans, they're hard-nosed. They got to a point where they just like, he's too good to be wasting away here in Cleveland. You got to get rid of him. He's got to go somewhere so he can contend for a Super Bowl. And he ended up going to the Rams. I'm not happy about, but he went to the Rams, and that's a great, solid team and probably the best shot for him to go and win a Super Bowl. So just going from rags to riches, really, when you talk about the Cleveland Browns and LA Rams, they've got some great players on that defense that he can rally around. Add on the fact that Aaron Donald might be coming back. I cannot imagine what it's going to be like on that defense and just in that locker room and on that team. So, yeah, I would like to see him push to reach that sack record or even like pass it again. Would be awesome. It would also be awesome to see Will Anderson, those two having a game within the game in the season, just going at it, seeing who's going to be the best defensive end in the league. I'm excited to see all of that.
Yeah, for sure. While we're on the subject, let's go ahead and transition into Aaron Donald possibly coming back. There's reports of him being around the facility, working out with the team and whatnot. What are your thoughts on that? For me, ultimately, it just means like, hey, this guy's coming back. Like, he's not old. He's in his mid 30s. I think he's going to come back even if he's 90%, 80% Aaron Donald. He just does so much for the team. Ultimately, we've seen the videos, we've seen what he looks like. He does not slack off when it comes to his workouts. I think he's going to come back and honestly not miss a step. I know some people are like, that's crazy to imagine, but we're talking about someone who's just an outlier physically, mentally, and he's just a dog. So I really don't see this guy coming in and being okay with being a fraction of himself, right? So, and then even the fact that he's even stepping on the field, giving people hope, stepping on the facility, this guy's coming back, and it's going to be an issue for everyone that faces that team.
Yeah, there's not a world that he does not come back. When Myles Garrett got traded to the Rams, that was my first thought. Oh, Aaron Donald, what if he can come back? What if that gets some fire under him where he might want to come back? And that was that. But as the offseason went on and the days and weeks and months went on after Miles got traded, it's like starting to become like a reality that it's not official, but we all know Aaron Donald's going to go back and he's going to play this upcoming season. He's, like you said, an outlier. He's a freak of an athlete, one of the best in our generation, if not the best. I don't think he'll play at the same capacity. I think like the same amount of reps is what I'm meaning. I think they're going to spot him some reps, not as much as he played when he was still playing with the Rams. When he does come back, I think it'll be like towards the end of training camp or towards the very beginning of the season, and then kind of just whittle him in, like wean him into the defense in the beginning of the season. I say that is because, yeah, he's in shape. He's in great shape. He might be in the best shape of his life. But when you haven't played football for a few years, football shape is different than being in shape. So it might take him a little bit to get back into football shape, but once he's in football shape, he's going ham.
Yeah, I completely agree with the assessment there. I mean, I don't think they're going to give him all the reps that he got when he was in his normal playing days, but I definitely think when he is on the field, he's still that monster.
Yeah, and he doesn't really have to now because they got Myles Garrett. They didn't really have anybody outside of him when he was there. He was the alpha. But now he's got an alpha A over there, alpha B. And so it's going to be a lot easier for him to get back into football shape and get back to going.
Sounds good. All right, now we're gonna go to our next topic. We got Pickens playing on the franchise tag. I know you were a little weary about that. I think once he signed it, I was pretty sure he was gonna play this season, but you have everyone across the league saying, hey, just tease him up to be traded or something crazy like that. I think ultimately Joneses are gonna work their magic as they usually do. They're gonna drag this thing on as long as possible, and then once the ticket's too high, he's gonna be going somewhere else. I think that they see it as they really have a chance this year. I don't know if they've done completely enough to set themselves up to do something like that this year, but we'll see. Ultimately, if we get into it and they have an amazing season and you're just like, hey, this duo of Pickens and Lamb is too valuable, then of course that's going to force the Cowboys' hand. But at the same time, stuff just doesn't go right. Stuff just doesn't go right in Dallas once you get further into the season. So I've said it many, many times in the offseason. I'm going to have to see it to believe it at this point. I think they're on the right trajectory. But, anyways, I'm getting off topic. As far as Pickens goes, I think he's definitely playing throughout this year. I don't think he's going to be with the team past this year.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in alignment with you on that assessment. He's definitely going to play, and he he potentially could have a better year than he did last year. It's
I
some
think
say
so.
it's unlikely, some say it's possible, but I think he will because right now he's thinking, "Oh, this is like a contract year for me. I have to go out there and I have to ball because the Cowboys did what the Cowboys do and they put him on the tag instead of extending him for a nice big pretty contract." So he knows either I play here in Dallas and I get paid or I go play somewhere else and get paid, but I'm going to have a breakout year again and I'm going to do my part and I'm going to do my piece. It would be, man, it's tough because Jerry's so different, man. Common sense says sign the guy, and they've got a lot of contracts that are friendly enough for them to go ahead and extend him. But at the same time, Jerry likes to be cheapskate too with his all-star players. Their name isn't Dak Prescott. So we'll see what they do. But like you said, Something's going to get messed up. I do not see him playing with Dallas outside of this year. So take it in, soak up these last 9 months of seeing Pickens in a Cowboys jersey and just love the vibes and embrace all of that stuff and enjoy it because that offense is going to be really good. That's going to be a really good offense and they're going to score a lot of points. Hopefully not because their defense still is ass, but just because they're so good. We'll see. But yeah, Pickens is playing in Dallas this year. He's not going to be full of that drama and all that other stuff. He's going to play and he's going to be playing for a contract in 2027, 2028.
Let's get into a little bit of Alvin Kamara. What are your thoughts on that restructured contract? What do you got for us there?
It was a little surprising. I was thinking that there's going to be some way that they were going to trade him or do something like that because they had just went and got Travis Etienne from the Jaguars. And he's coming into his prime and he's going to be the 1A in that backfield. And they also have Kendre Miller. So I was thinking, okay, maybe this is Alvin Kamara's last dance with them. Maybe they're actually done with him. And nope, they just restructured his contract. I don't know how much money. I think it's $4 or $5 million that they freed up or maneuvered or something like that. But hey, if you're a Saints fan, you love it because he's been with the Saints for like the last 9 years. He's probably outside of Cam Jordan, the oldest tenured player on the Saints team. So as a Saints fan, you love it. And hopefully they can recreate some success that when Mark Ingram was down there in New Orleans with Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. They're probably shooting for that same success, and they might reach that same success, and they might even exceed it because you have a younger player with a CTN coming who's really just coming into his prime. And Tyler Shuck, who did they draft? The receiver, Tyson. I can't remember his first name. And they also have Olave. They have the pieces there for a really good offense. So if some of those players can make a second-year leap, Tyler Shuck. So I think it makes a lot of sense. And yeah, hopefully they can get things going next year and he can get back to similar to what he was, but he'll be 31 in like 10 days. So you're not hoping for so much. You just got to take it for what it is.
Yeah, I definitely think that's what they're shooting for. The less reps he has to do, the fresher his legs are going to be at his age. That makes a huge difference. So I think they're realizing at his age, he can't be expected to be a bell cow. So getting Etienne in there to imitate, like you said, what him and Ingram did or what they were doing down there in Detroit with Gibbs and Montgomery for so long successfully. So I definitely think that's going to be an upgrade as far as it goes for their offense, no doubt. I think that's a great move, perfect move if I'm a New Orleans Saints fan. All right, you ready to get into some UFC?
Let's do it.
All right, it's been a minute, but we've got to talk about it. UFC 329, crazy. Let's go ahead and get the elephant in the room, Conor McGregor. First of all, I'd like to say I was never super ecstatic over the Conor McGregor return. I don't think that they promoted this fight well at all. I think they kept those cards close to the vest, knowing that he only has 2 fights left on the contract. They wanted to see UFC Freedom 250 sell more than this Conor McGregor fight or get more viewers, and I know it did. And that gives the UFC leverage going into this next deal, potentially for more fights with Conor, and even into this next fight. So I think that was done on purpose. Ultimately, when it got down to fight week, I was getting really excited about it, looking into it, looking back into Conor's career, the memories, all the great stuff. And so ultimately, I was getting pretty hype about it. Max Holloway is a beast. He's definitely one of my top 5 fighters in the UFC. He's just a fighter from my era of when I was really becoming a fan. The first fight I watched that made me a fan, he was the one half of it, which was Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier back in the COVID time. So seeing him do that, his performance from both of those guys made me a huge fan of him. And so going into this fight, I was pretty excited, but man, the disappointment is real. Ultimately, I don't know how Conor comes back from this. He's 38 years old now. He's going to take a year off. He's going to be, 39 coming into this next year, his last fight on the contract. I think it's pretty much time to call it. He looked older. The walkout felt different. And just the fact that he came out after the performance that Paddy Pimblett put on, it really just felt kind of like a changing of the guard, right? So ultimately, that's where I'm at with that. Conor McGregor, I don't think he's ever going to be what he was. He's still a very great draw, obviously, but if he comes back in a year, I wouldn't be mad if they matched him back up with Max Holloway. I think the fans want to see that fight, but I don't think he walks away from that one or any other top five fighter in that division with a win, in my opinion. What are your thoughts?
Breaking, man. I'm not the biggest Conor McGregor fan, but you gotta love his persona and what he did for the sport the last over 10 years. And I was building into the hype, like you said. Not super crazy about it because it's his first fight in 5 years. And when you spend that much time out of the sport, coming back in to fight one of the best fighters in the whole UFC, it's tough, man, and it's challenging. And I thought that he was going to put up a good fight, but like you said, it's pretty much time for him to pack it all up and call it a day and call it a career. Ultimately, we know that's not who he is. He's probably going to want to finish his contract and get that one fight and come back probably in a year and a half. But yeah, he's nowhere near what he used to be, and it's just like fortunate injuries that he's had. 5 years ago, his leg snapping, and then just a freak accident this past weekend where he blew his knee out. You saw the highlights. He was literally practicing that same kick in the pre-fight with no problems, and then he does it in the game. I don't know if he had more umph behind it or a little more something, but it didn't sit right, didn't land right, and blew his knee out. So it just sucks, man, because it does seem like he was changing a corner in his life, not just his career, but his life, and like he was actually really changing. And it could have been a good comeback story, but who knows? Maybe this is just building up to an even better comeback story for him to finish out his contract with his last fight and come out with the victory with whoever he fights. But yeah, it sucks for Conor. It sucks for Max Holloway. All these months training, getting ready to fight Conor McGregor in his comeback. You're basically the underdog because you're fighting Conor. For it to go that way, it sucks for Max because now he's going to have to wait a little while too to get his next fight. So it sucks for everybody around. Sucks for the fans, sucks for Conor, sucks for Max Holloway, and it really sucks for the UFC.
Definitely, man. I won't spend too much time on this one just because everyone's already beat it like a dead horse by now. We're a week out from when it happened. So I think pretty much everyone's in the same spot with that. But what we can really appreciate and talk about from that night was Paddy Pimblett. The performance he put on, the walkout was just electric. His performance was electric. It was awesome. I was already a fan of him coming out of Cage Warriors, the lore and everything, the Beatles haircut and all that crazy stuff. But seeing him in here, not only his performance against Justin Gaethje, where you just really saw that dog in him, that no quit mentality in him, and then seeing him just freaking demolish Benoit Saint Denis like that, he wasn't even on his level, and as an underdog going into that fight. So you can't say enough about Paddy Pimblett. I would watch the Justin Gaethje fight again. I would watch him fight Ilya, whoever it is. I'm down to see it. This kid has all the star power, so definitely looking forward to what he's got left in the tank as far as his career goes.
Patty really is that baddie, bro. It's it's crazy. I was watching that fight. I looked down for a second, and you just hear the crowd roaring. You hear Joe Rogan and DC going crazy, and they're saying all this. Oh, he's got him. He's got him. And 2 seconds later, the ref calls it, and you're like, what the hell? Really? Did this just happen? Holy crap! That is freaking insane for him to submit Benoit like that. Not even a minute into the fight, it was freaking crazy, man. You said it. He's the star in this UFC, and he's got so much potential. I'm all aboard the Patty train. I've always liked him since I've been getting into the UFC, just who he is as a character, a person, a man. He's not super arrogant. He's like goofy, funny. He's got a lot of life in him, a lot of happiness, a lot of joy, but he's still got that dog in him. And we saw that when he fought Gaethje in January. Like he just had a cheek made of freaking steel. Every punch you thought he was going to go down, he was still hanging in there, and he was going back at Gaethje. So whether he fights Gaethje, Ilya, I would love to see him go at Ilya because I know they got some beef. And, Ilya's going to come back with a lot of vengeance in those eyes. So that would be an amazing fight. Whoever he fights, Gaethje, Topuria, it's going to be a great fight. Who would you rather see him fight?
Honestly, that's a tough one. I guess I'd have to say Ilya, man. It just doesn't make sense from the UFC's perspective to throw him back at Gaethje. So both of them, Ilya versus Patty is going to be amazing. He's going to sell out for sure. So that'd probably be the next one I want to see. But yeah, so that was last week. Let's go ahead and look forward into UFC Fight Night tomorrow. We've got Dricus du Plessis versus Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman, one of my favorite fighters for sure. Definitely over the years, just what he's been able to do at welterweight. Now at middleweight, going against a former champion, I'd love to see him come out with a win, but it's going to be a really tough one, man. Dricus is just pure chaos. He's going to go crazy, blitz in, closing his eyes, swinging his fist, and probably come out with a crazy victory. But I can also see Kamaru sticking out the jab and grinding on him and doing what he did against Buckley. So I'd love to see it. I'm rooting for Kamaru, but it's going to be a really tough one, especially at this age, 39 years old. Drika's still in the prime of his career, but really styles make fights. So I'm hoping Kamaru can come in here and get this stub.
Yeah, I don't really know the fighters. I know the names, but I know them well enough that it's going to be a really good fight. I'm excited to see how it goes down.
It's good. Well, that's what we had for UFC. Really just go over those three fights. We'll be back with y'all next week. But first, let's get into the triumphant moment. Are you ready for this?
Let's roll.
I'm going to go ahead and start it off. No surprises here. Paddy Pimblett, just what he's been able to do. Coming off that loss, doing that to Benoit, one of the most violent fighters in the UFC, making it look easy without a scratch on him. I would have loved to see him come back out as soon as Conor busted his knee and fight Max Holloway. Ultimately, that's not possible, but just what he was able to do last week. He took control. The crowd, the walkout was better than Conor's, which is crazy. The walkout song, it's just perfect. It's cinematic. Everything's going right for this kid as far as his career goes. So definitely a triumphant moment for him to come and, as an underdog and take that win last week.
Ditto, ditto. My triumphant moment is going to be Patty as well. Said it pretty much all. I don't want to continue hitting it over and over again. It's seeming like he's becoming the new face of the UFC. He's got all the potential. He's got all the intangibles to be the next great UFC fighter. And man, I'm excited to see what happens next. You said it. How awesome would it have been if he could have jumped over the fence and just went into the fight with Max and continue that fight? That would have been crazy. Never going to happen. We're not in the gladiator days no more, but still, that would have been awesome. Patty Pimplet, Patty the Batty. Keep rolling, brother.
Sounds good. Well, that's what we had for y'all today. Thanks for sticking with us. We'll be back with y'all next week. Let's go ahead and close it out.
Hey, go ahead and drop a follow, drop a like, drop a comment. Let us know how bad our top 5 edge rushers were or how good they were. See y'all in the next one.
See y'all.